Nick Wright, oh boy. Nick Wright joining us live. He does a show later on the network. Oh boy.
Oh, Colin, no FaceTime from you yesterday. Big surprise there. I was expecting to get the old call. How are you? You said you had one cocktail last night. That was during the game. What'd you need after? 3 or 4 just to get to sleep? How are you today?
Well, I'm not bailing.
Good.
I'm not bailing. But it would be nice if anybody beyond Steph would step up. Clay was awful. Yeah. Looney, you can't play. The second best Warrior was Gary Payton II, and his dad was way better. Yeah. I hear you want to blame Steph for some of this.
No. Well, you hear partially correctly, partially incorrectly. Listen, here's the deal, Colin. Steph offensively was brilliant for 47 minutes.
Yeah.
The last minute was tough for him, but they would not have been in that position if not for his brilliance up until that point. Now, defensively, oh, man, that old 10th best player in the playoffs you got there, LeBron James, sure seemed to throw it back to 2016 finals, where Steph Curry put him in the pick and roll, hunt him. Is he on me? I'll go to the basket and he'll foul me. And LeBron, scared of the free throw line, LeBron, not clutch LeBron, 4 for 4 from the free throw line in the final minutes of that game. And when Steph stayed on Lonnie Walker the fourth, of course, dotted his eye a few times. But no, I don't put the majority of the blame on Steph. Some, of course, must go to Klay Thompson, who had 2 just brutal hero shots when they didn't need it. Yeah. But I don't put the majority of blame on him either. There is one name that you have not mustered to be able to escape your lips, and that is everyone's favorite podcaster, Draymond Green. Because, Colin, it was Draymond who got the rebound after Steph's first miss, had Dennis Schroeder on him, and looked up at the rim and thought, actually, that's not fair. Never even looked at the rim, immediately threw the ball away, a la Ben Simmons. And then, in the final play of the game, Draymond threw a perfectly threaded pass to Anthony Davis, and they lost. Yeah. So that is a little Steph, a little Clay, a little Draymond, and that is how dynasties end, of course, and that is what we're seeing. And at what point, Colin, do I get an apology from you and maybe even J-Mac because you guys laughed at me when I gave you the Lakers at 50-1 6 weeks ago to win the title? I gave you Chiefs-Niners Super Bowl at 50-1 before the season. I was a Brock Purdy injury away from giving you that one 50-1. Lakers 50-1. To win the title. I gave it out on this show less than 2 months ago. They're now 4-1, and you're so you're in shambles so much. You're bringing up the '79 Supersonics as a reason to explain what's happening.
Yeah, you're on a Devin Booker heater. I don't think it's sustainable. Much like Devin Booker, it's not sustainable. Oh. I did say this though. I said Anthony Davis is doing something. And if you look at NBA history, and I watched it back in the early 70s, whoever as the player in this series, whether it was Duncan, Shaq, Michael, that everybody has to adjust to, that team usually wins. And even though Steph is great, they're not necessarily, they did a little Jared Vanderbilt on him, but the Warriors, everything they're doing is adjusting to Anthony Davis. And
that's right.
I mean, it's what, I'd be the first to tell you, I wanted to sell him. I was moving off of the trade deadline.
Yeah.
If they don't win the final, are you still on LeBron AD the rest of the way? Next year, the following year?
Well, listen, LeBron at this point's a year-by-year, enterprise. And LeBron, I know the narrative right now is, oh, man, LeBron's gotten old. Yeah. LeBron in January, now it's later than January, but that was just 4 months ago. In January, averaged 35 points per game for the month. I don't think it's LeBron's gotten old. I think it's that LeBron needs foot surgery, was supposed to have foot surgery, and didn't have it because he thinks they can win the title. And because of that, he can't drive to the basket the way he wants to. He can't do all the things he wants to do. So LeBron is a year-to-year proposition. But Anthony Davis, I think you are exactly right that he is the one that is forcing the adjustment. And here's what I mean. The Warriors have 5 guys Steve Kerr trusts. And because of AD, they can't play all 5 at once.
Right.
Because he wants to play, obviously, Steph, Clay, Draymond, Wiggins, and Looney. That's their best 5-man group. But when you have 2 non-shooting bigs out there, that allows Anthony Davis to do what he did in Game 1, which is take over the game defensively. So because of that, he is forced to play either Gary Payton or Jordan Poole, who once upon a time was an NBA player, I hear, but I haven't seen any evidence of it in a couple months, or Dante DiVincenzo or Moses Moody or whomever. And now you have a guy out there that Kerr just truly, clearly does not want to have out there. And that's why he's grasping. Jordan Poole was starting. Now he can't play in the fourth quarter. JaMychal Green started 2 games ago. Played 2 minutes last night. Hey, Gary Payton wasn't even on the team halfway through the year. He's in the closing lineup. And then Moses Moody's in the closing lineup. And then it's a whole hell of a lot of Dante DiVincenzo. And that is all because you can't play those 2 bigs because of what AD does to you. So, yeah, listen, he is consistently brilliant on the defensive end and intermittently brilliant on the offensive end. And the reason I won't crush him for the intermittent offense the way some will is we never do that in reverse. If a guy is consistently brilliant on offense and only occasionally good on defense, we just say they're always great. Jokic, take him for example. He's occasionally good defensively, always great offensively. We don't call him inconsistent. Anthony Davis has been, in my opinion, the second most impactful player this postseason behind only Jimmy Butler, and that's even with his off nights.
Yeah. So we got into this discussion earlier, is that if you look ahead, Suns or Denver, coming out of a long series, if this went 6 or 7, and having to go high altitude with LeBron and AD playing 40 minutes feels like, okay, the series starts 1-0 Denver. So I don't want to get to that yet. Is there anything? I mean, I could argue we're a couple of 3-pointers away from it being 3-1 Warriors. Is there anything with the Lakers that does concern you?
Goodness.
Concern you a little? I mean, 2 of the next 3 are at the Chase Center.
Well, there's not 2. There's not going to be 3, Colin. Colin, there's not going to be 3. Colin, it's okay. Everything ends, my friend. And the idea that this is going 7 is laughable. The other thing I told you before this series was that, and you can check the tape, my friend, this was going to have the exact same beats as the Memphis series. The Lakers win 1, and then the home games, 3, 4, and 6. The Lakers' path to a championship is a narrow one, but it is crystal clear what it is. They must go undefeated at home. There is a reason we've only seen the 95 Rockets go on the road as the path to the championship, and it is because it is so incredibly difficult the moment you lose a single home game. So they can't lose a single home game, and what we have seen in both of these series is Game 4 is a close game, the fork in the road game, and in Game 4 against the Grizzlies, AD didn't have it. LeBron gets the layup over the Defensive Player of the Year. They win in overtime. In Game 4 of this series, Lonnie Walker plays the role that the Lakers have had multiple guys play this year. And that's, let me just say this before we get to Denver-Phoenix. People have talked in LeBron's career about how being the 3rd star, you get minimized. And that is true. That happened to Kevin Love. That happened to Chris Bosh. But that is because when LeBron's hand is on the joystick, the 3rd star is whoever has it that night. So it can be Austin Reeves at the end of the regular season. It can be Rui Hachimura at the beginning of the Memphis series. And it can be Lonnie Walker the 4th last night. It's whoever has the best matchup, whoever has it. So I don't think this is going 7. If it were to go 7, it drastically hurts the Lakers' chances of winning of getting to the NBA Finals. But I don't think it's going 7. To your point, though, I think they'd rather play Phoenix.
Yeah, I think Phoenix is
Phoenix because
they're a bad defensive team. They're a really bad defensive team. You can attack Booker. Chris Paul might not be healthy. I think they. I mean, and by the way, now with Chris Paul ailing, they have no bench. So the Warriors, at least, there are players that can come off the bench and score, and they can be very good defensively in spurts. I think the more I watch this, Phoenix now, and I thought they'd get to the Western Conference Finals. They need another guy, like a Norman Powell, somebody off the bench. They don't have it.
100%. No, everybody, listen, Devin Booker has been brilliant. I agree with you, almost too brilliant in that. Listen, the guy's not going to shoot 65% for the playoffs. So when he cools off even just a little bit, what does it do to him? But the reason they won Game 3 and 4 was not because Devin Booker was brilliant, even though he was. It was because for the first time all postseason, they got actual contributions from their bench. They were a 5-man team when Chris Paul was healthy. When he went down, they're all of a sudden, they are forced to play the bench more, and those guys stepped up to a degree. But there's 3 reasons primarily that I think the Lakers would rather play Phoenix. I don't think they're going to get to. I think Denver's going to win. I think the Lakers would rather. The first one is what you said. The Lakers are comfortable playing their bench guys. Phoenix is not. And because of that, if Phoenix were to get to the conference finals, they would be coming off a grueling 7 games playing 44 minutes a night for Booker and Durant.
Yeah.
Durant. That's the first reason. The second reason has to do with travel. It is a shorter flight to Phoenix, and there is no altitude. And for 65,000 minutes in LeBron, I think that really, really matters. I think the altitude, the every other day, and the long flights would be really tough on him. And lastly, and I think this is correct, Phoenix has no way to deal with Anthony Davis on the inside defensively. And it's not that Jokic is a great defender, but Denver is connected and they know what they want to do. And AD, I think, would be so gassed with what he has to do defensively against Jokic, his offense would be minimized. Phoenix clearly doesn't like playing DeAndre Ayton. He's had a bad attitude for 2 years. Their next option is Jock Landale. And so if the Lakers were to get Phoenix in round 3, I actually think that could be a quick series, but I think they're going to get Denver, and it's going to be a war.
All right, well, so now you would acknowledge Golden State's a 7.5-point favorite in a Game 5 that Warriors will
win Game 5. Congrats. So did the Grizzlies. The series ended last night, man. I promise you. They're going to win Game 5. LeBron, here's what I'll tell you is going to happen in Game 5.
All right.
LeBron is going to take 5 to 7 first-half threes. And if he's hot and they can all of a sudden hit a bunch of shots and they're in it, then they'll go for it. If not, they will pack it in early, prepare for Game 6, and do you remember Game 6 of the Grizzlies series? Yeah. The Lakers won it by 40 points. Now, I don't think they'll do that to the Warriors, probably more like 20. But this thing's over in 6, Colin. It was the moment was last night. The Warriors couldn't finish. They couldn't close. They had a double-digit second-half lead. They had a 7-point fourth-quarter lead, and they ran out of gas. There were some bad turnovers and some bad shots. Listen, nothing lasts forever, my friend, except for our friendship, which is back on. Last week, I said it's strictly a professional relationship. I've reversed course. We're friends again. It's good to see you.
Good to see you. Yes, he reversed course. I'm glad we could get the satellite up for this. It was very fuzzy 15 minutes ago. Yeah. First things first, after our show, the fastest-growing sports show on cable, Nick Wright, as always. I'm a good sport. My team's in trouble.